let's see. Okay, cool. So let's see if I can share my screen. And if anyone sees somebody's in the waiting room, please let me know, because whenever I share my screen, I can't see that. Hence why Brittany was stuck in the waiting room for like 20 minutes last meeting.
And that's why I was early today.
Okay, let's see. Can you guys see my screen? Yes. Okay. All right, so let me move this. So we're gonna do a little icebreaker. So I would like everyone to please respond. You guys can unmute yourself and then we'll figure it out. So just to kind of get the conversation going, yesterday, 2 days ago, was Amazon Prime Day. So you can either say your best purchase from Amazon Prime Day or the best restaurant you've ever been to. I guess I'll say names to make it easiest. All right, Courtney, you're first on my list, so go for it.
I did not buy this, but my boyfriend bought it for me, but he got me like this little coaster, like heats up your drink and keeps it hot. And it's really cool.
Yes, I've seen that all over TikTok. That's cool. Brittany?
I did not buy anything, so I'm doing the restaurant one.
Okay.
But I don't know, that's hard. I have to go with Guy's Chicken because it's my favorite. They have the best sauces.
What chicken?
So, Guy's Chicken.
Huh. I don't think
So I'm fully choosing a chicken finger restaurant.
Okay. I'm here for it. Victoria, you're next on my list.
I didn't buy anything from Amazon Prime Day either. There's this restaurant in St. Augustine, Florida called O.C. White's. It's like really nice on a marina. And I've never been like a breakfast eater, but they had like this shrimp and grits. It was like phenomenal, and now I'm like obsessed with it. So that's probably the best place I've been.
Yes, I've been there before. I'm from like an hour and a half south of St. Augustine. It's a really pretty city.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, did you go to the fort?
Yeah, I have family there, so I go there all the time.
Very cool, very cool. Elizabeth, you're next on my list. I'm just going via who's down the camera list, so.
Okay. The best restaurant I've ever been to, it probably isn't even the best, but I was like 13 and I went to a restaurant in Disney World and it was like the best thing ever. I remember at the time, it probably isn't now, but I just remember really enjoying it. I don't remember what it's called.
Cool. Lois, Amazon Prime purchase or restaurant? I guess I'm the only one with an online shopping problem. Lois? Okay, we'll go with Nicole.
Yeah, I didn't buy anything on Amazon Prime Day either. So the first restaurant that came to my mind is this place I went to in Copenhagen, Denmark. And I can't even pronounce the restaurant name, but it was so delicious. And it was all like traditional Danish food.
Yeah, I bet you've had some really good food in Europe. I'm jealous. Okay, and then Jatea.
The best restaurant I've been to is Perry's. I think it's something about spending $100 on the steak that, made it really good.
Yeah, at least you told yourself it tasted good, even if it didn't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, very cool, very cool. So let's jump into it. Thanks, guys, for sharing. And again, this will be way easier if you guys just talk with me, please. I really hate listening to my own voice for 40 minutes. I don't think this will take that long. I'm going to try and end early. But again, if I'm going too fast, stop me. If you have something to say, this is super informal. Just unmute yourself and say it. All right. So first thing I wanted to talk about was the billing issue we experienced in October. This is kind of an issue with like mass imports. So since we were closed for 155 days, we had to like go in on the back end of CSI and completely change everyone's reps. It wasn't me, it was PJ, who's our back end tech guy from centers, and Jessica was helping him too. When they were trying to fix this like back end issue of mass imports, a bunch of old reps popped up on accounts on the 14th of September. So probably, I mean, I know some of you have seen it. Like if they ever had a rep for a minor, if they ever had a rep for like an old membership that we don't even have anymore, it pulled onto their account. It wasn't everybody, but it was a good amount of people. So Henry and I are doing a whole audit of all the payroll members, which was like 644. So him and I are about halfway done with it, but it takes a long time because we have to go into each account individually. And if you see any of these people, or if a member tells you that they've been overcharged, please just put them in that account issues tab on the student staff page, just because that's how we're staying organized. We're going through accounts, but if they come and see that they've been overcharged before we get to their account, then that's the only way we're gonna have to go about it. Hopefully people are being patient with you guys. I know it's frustrating, but there's only so much I can do. I'm the only one processing refunds, so I'm doing the best that I can. Does anyone have? Yeah.
What is the student staff page? I'm a little confused about that.
So you know where the training videos were? Like if you go to our website and then you do the /staff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So do we just like copy and paste their like Blazer ID into the tab?
Well, it'll say issues, and then you click on that tab and then it gives you fields to fill out. So it'll ask you for your name, their Blazer ID,
Oh, I see.
and then what's going on. And this is like for something too, if someone comes up to the desk because they had a check-in message or a note and you're really lost, you can put them in here. You can just put in that thing, I have no idea what's going on, I'm really confused, and it'll automatically send an email to Henry and I. Some people have been saying it comes back with like an error message, but I get the emails every single time, so I'm not quite sure why that happens.
Thank you.
Questions?
I was just gonna say that sometimes the reps also show up from the 12th of September.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be in that second week of September that you guys are gonna see them. And I've seen accounts that had just one, I've seen accounts that have had literally like 12. So, anybody else? Nope. Okay, moving on. Okay, personal training sessions. So these can be purchased at the desk. Just a reminder, if they're looking for a personal trainer and they don't already have one, what do they need to fill out? I guess this is a question for participation.
The request form.
What?
The request form?
Yes, so that's going to be in that silver binder in the drawer. It's a request form and a health questionnaire. Once they fill that out, we let them know that they'll be contacted by Brianna within 2 business days, and then we're going to put that request form in her mailbox. However, they can purchase sessions if they already have a personal trainer. You're just going to go through point of sale, and it's a personal training box. It has its own box. It's like a lavender color. And the session packages are in there and they automatically populate to their app. There's been some disconnect with this. I'm not quite sure if we're just not understanding what someone's asking for, or if they're not wording it properly, like asking to reserve space or something like that. But we can sell personal training sessions at the desk. Questions? Nope. Okay. All right, emails. This is gonna sound silly, but it's super important. Just little things that I've been noticing when either a member is forwarding something to me just to ask for a refund, or if I'm going through the email and helping answer, and then I'll notice some stuff here and there. We always wanna leave your name at the bottom of the email. So it says member services, but above that, you wanna put your first name. This is super important just because if there's an issue going on, and I'm not understanding what happened or what the conversation was about, I can go to that person and be like, hey, do you know what's going on? I'm lost. So super important to leave your name at the bottom of an email, or if someone sends me something to complete and I need to ask them more questions, I can go to them. We always want to file them in the correct folder once they're responded to. If you are unsure what I mean by this, I can show you next time I'm at the desk, or ask your coworker during that shift change. Basically, once you respond, there's folders on the left-hand side that say cancellation, app inquiries, so you can just file it under there. And that's how we know that we've responded to that email and that they've been taken care of. Professionalism is huge, so we want to make sure that we're spelling out words entirely. We're not using texting language. There's a few emails that I've seen that have been like the letter U instead of like YOU. And this is leaving an impression, so we want to make sure that we're spelling out words entirely. We're coming off professional, and we always want to reread the email to ensure that it makes sense before we send it out. I still do this with all of mine, unless I'm in a rush, which is not a good excuse. So just making sure we're rereading the email just to make sure it makes sense, right? And then if you're ever unsure of how to respond to an email, because you guys do get a lot of questions that are confusing because you are the hub of the rec. All of the questions go through you, all of the enrollment goes through you. Just ask. You can send it in the group me, you can text me, you can forward the email to me and say, hey, how should I respond to this? We're all here to help. So if you're ever unsure of how to answer an email, please ask. Questions, comments, concerns?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I saw like on some emails that people would say you can like fill out a cancellation form or a freeze form. And I think it makes it a little bit better if we leave the link for the form so that they can easily access it and they don't really have an excuse of like, oh, I didn't know where to find it.
Yes, very true. And if you look on Trello, there's lots of email templates and they all have the links in there as well. But yes, you should definitely leave a link just customer service wise so they can easily access those. Anybody else? Okay, moving on. All right, homework at the desk. I know I've made a couple of comments about that, but I want to go ahead and make the final comment about it. We should not be doing homework at the desk. I know sometimes it gets slow, it gets boring, but I keep finding like people printing out their notes, printing out their homework on the printer and then forgetting about it. And it'll say on the printer rec member. So I'm not quite sure. And then I also found a bunch of stuff, and it's not just one person, I promise. I have found a bunch of stuff on the Google Drive, and that just can't happen. That Google Drive is used by a lot of people, and a lot of pro staff see that. So there's no reason why we should be doing our homework at the desk, especially on that public Google Drive that we share with a lot of people. We're about to have a lot of reports that require teamwork. On the bright side, it makes the time go by faster behind the desk. And if you have nothing to do, please ask. I can always find something. Even if it's like helping with laminating and I bring the laminator out to you, helping with cutting things, I can always find something. Henry can always use some help. So if you have nothing to do, please ask. If you're bored and you don't have paperwork and stuff, we can always find something to do. Dusting, I know it gets dusty up there, just little things to do to make the time go by. And then just a reminder about that second chair. So I took the second chair away from behind the desk, and it's not to be mean, it's because we were asked to due to social distancing and the 6 feet, especially because you guys are the first desk that people see when people walk into the building. And we've had a lot of like leadership, student affairs, people walk in and that chair is back out there, even though it was in my desk or in the closet. The only time, or in my office, not the desk, the only time we should bring out that second chair is when we're training somebody. And that's because I don't want you both standing on your feet for 3 hours trying to figure out something on a computer. They'll have to understand for that. But if that chair is in my office and you're not training, please do not take it out because it is put in there for a reason. I'm only saying something because I was very abruptly told that the second chair should not be out there. We should not be congregating back there, okay? From quite a few different people that are much higher than me. So please don't get me in trouble anymore and leave that chair in my office unless you're training somebody. Questions? All right, I love talking. My voice is great. All right, winter break. So I sent out a Google Doc and all the student staff in all areas received the same one. So operations, KP sent it out to them, aquatics, Jenny sent it out to them. It's the same thing for everybody. It was due by yesterday, the 14th. So if you have not completed it, you have until 12 today, this afternoon, to complete it. This is super important because it was asked by our director to get this completed, because we're going to use this information to work with student affairs leadership to determine our winter break hours. So I know a lot of you have noticed, but this year is unlike any other. So we don't know if our schedule is going to be anything like it used to be, because technically we're operating under like less than winter break hours right now, right? Because during breaks we're typically open till 9 and normally we're open till 11. Just because of COVID, everything's been different. So we're going to use all this information to determine our days that we're open, our days that we're closed, and when we're opening and when we're closing. We're going to have, Christmas off, limited hours here and there. We're going to have the typical days off that we normally do. But again, just when we open and close is going to be determinant on that information. I did notice that a lot of people marked that they will not be working for membership. So if you have any friends or siblings that go to UAB that would like to work specifically winter break, but I would have to start getting them trained and stuff. And then they could have the potential to stay on for spring if things work out. Please let me know because we are short-staffed for winter break. Questions about winter break? Now's your time to ask if I can answer them.
What days are we like closed during the week of Thanksgiving, or limited hours or something like that?
We're typically always, we are closed on Thanksgiving. In the past, we've had limited hours the day before and we open later on the day after. But again, we could be closed all three now. I don't know. That's really just coming from what leadership decides. But we're typically always limited hours the day before, limited hours the day after, and closed on the day of. Anybody else?
This isn't a question, just a comment. I'm not sure if you know this or not. I'm not sure how many people in membership or in general that work at the rec live on campus, but we can't even like come back early. So like if I wanted to come back like the 14th or like just a week before classes, we can't, because we have to like, they're making a schedule to come back in.
Yeah, I heard that.
That'll probably affect that.
Yeah, I heard they're also charging like $2,000 more to stay.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is, but yeah, that's something that student affairs leadership and that Mark Booker, who's in charge of housing, is on that meeting too. So it stinks. Our hours are probably going to be very limited. Anybody else? No? Okay. All right, freeze forms. So I know these can be kind of confusing, so I just wanted to go over them really quickly because they are easier than they look. They might just be intimidating when you first get them. So freeze forms are very similar to cancellation forms where we're going to adjust their status. So we're going to adjust them to frozen. Just a reminder that the start date always has to be the first of a month. So it can't be like in the middle of a month. So if a member puts like the 15th of February, you have to ask them, would you rather it start February 1st or March 1st? That's just because of billing and we don't prorate. So they have to start at the first. And then you also want to adjust their next charge date on the repetitives. So you just want to make sure that if someone's frozen November 1st to February 1st, we don't want to charge them November, right? We want to make sure that we change their next charge date to February 1st. And then we always leave a note on their account with their start and end date of the freeze. I know these can be intimidating, but they're really not that bad. And you can always ask me if you're confused on how to process them. And I do the second look. So if something happens, I can just be like, hey, next time. But just a heads up, freeze forms, you guys can process and then place them in my mailbox, please. Any questions on that? No? Okay. And then just real quick, wanted to go over 1 week trial. So we're going to go over this really quickly. Just a reminder about the flowcharts, and then we're going to do a quick audit review because CPR audits and EAP audits in general start next week. So they will be coming around during your shifts. And I just wanted to give you guys an example that may or may not is going to be what they ask you, so you're prepared. All right, so 1 week trial is for UAB employees and colleague members. So someone from Children's Sodexo, they're able to do a 1 week trial. So an individual who has never used the facility before. So prior students don't qualify. How would you check if they've used the facility before? What's one way you could do that?
You can go into their POA and see like if they've ever purchased anything before.
Good. So you can go into their last POA and you can see if they've had a membership before. You can also go into last check-in and see if they've checked into the facility before. Good. And then you always want to give them a membership agreement so that they can fill out that contact information portion of the membership agreement. They don't have to sign it. They don't have to initial it. We just want to get that contact info so we can go ahead and update this on their account. Why should we always update? What's one reason we should update contact information on an account?
For safety, like the emergency contact in case something happens to them.
Good. For safety, there's a bunch of other reasons. Anybody else want to?
Let's say like we needed to contact them. Like recently we had all that stuff with like payroll and billing, and we had to like call a bunch of people and email them. If that info is not updated, then we can't reach out to them so they could fix whatever's wrong with their account.
Exactly. Yep. That's a good one too. Yes, definitely contacting them is the #1 reason why we need contact information, right? If someone asks about a refund and I go to call them and they don't have a phone number on file, that doesn't help me, right? And it's just customer service. So they fill it out for a reason. So let's make sure we are updating it. Okay. So once we get them to fill out that stuff and we update it, we can then set them to active. We can set them to the 1 week trial membership type. And then we're going to set that expiration date to exactly 1 week from that day. And then we're going to help them download the app because that's how they'll scan into the facility because they shouldn't be purchasing a key fob. There's no reason for them to. And then we're going to place that membership agreement in the 1 week trial folder in the filing drawer. This does not automatically start charging them after a week. I've had a few people walk up and they couldn't get into the facility, and I was watching the desk and they're like, oh, I thought it was going to automatically start. I don't know if that's just them assuming. Nothing surprises me anymore with what people say to me. But just making sure that they know, hey, if you would like to sign up after your 1 week free trial, please come back and we'll complete the process so they can pay for their first month. And then we can go ahead and make sure that they're all set up and good to go. Any questions on the 1 week trial?
I don't have a question for the 1 week trial, but I was kind of wondering about a different membership. Like, if someone becomes like a recent alumni, does it automatically switch to a normal alumni membership after the 12 months?
Yes. So that's how we would adjust, but that's because we've done that by adjusting repetitives.
Okay.
So for recent alumni, you would make sure that you put the amount of repetitives that are left. So if they only have 8 months of recent alumni left, you would put 8 for the R alum repetitive, and then you would put 999 for alum, but you would make sure that next charge date for the regular alum was the month after the recent alumni finished.
Okay, thank you.
And we can go over that too if you ever need to when I'm at the desk. We can do an example. Okay, flow charts, they're in a green binder at the desk. Courtney was a huge help with this. So if you find yourself using those, give Courtney a air high five next time you see her. They're pretty much any process you can think of, including EAP. So if you just need a refresher, you can go ahead and look through there. They are there to help you guys. So if you're unsure of how to take a balance off an account, if you're unsure of how to process a 1 week trial, all of that stuff is in there. And you just follow the flow charts. It tells you exactly what to click, and that should be a really good resource for everybody. Any comments on the flow charts? Have they been helping? Okay. All right, audit review. So EAP audits begin again on Monday. There was an email sent out with the example I'm about to go over. Let's see if I can find, can you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let's move this over. So it's gonna start with a prompt that says, actually, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen because I don't want you guys to see that. All right, so it's gonna start with a prompt that says a sweaty man is lying face up in an area of the building. So for sake of example, let's say a sweaty man's lying face up in Studio 5 and he appears to be unconscious. So what's the first thing you're gonna do? Let's think back to your CPR classes. And I'm gonna,
Size up the scene.
good. Okay, so you're gonna survey the scene, right? So once I tell you that the scene is safe, what's the next thing you should do? And I don't want the same person answering.
Did we already check for consciousness?
Good, so you're gonna check for consciousness and you're gonna put something on. What are you gonna put on?
Appropriate PPE.
Good, so you're gonna put on PPE. So what if I tell you, okay, there's no response. He's not conscious. He's not responding to you. What are you gonna do? Okay, so if he does not respond to you, he or she, you are going to call a code silver because they are not, they're face up, they're not responding to you, right? That is a code silver. So when you call the code silver, you're going to say code silver in your location, and then you're going to check for a pulse. When there is no pulse, so I say, all right, there is no pulse, what should you begin to do?
Chest.
Compressions.
What was that?
Compressions.
Good, okay. So you're gonna do chest compressions. However, because of COVID, we're not going to do the breaths, right? So we're gonna get the BVM. So once you call that code silver, they should bring it over to you. You're gonna find your proper hand placement for CPR. You're gonna make sure that they're lying flat. And then you're gonna go ahead and do compressions. So let's say the supervisor arrives with the BVM. So you're gonna continue the compressions until they place the BVM. Once they say stop, they'll give those 2 rescue breaths, and then you can resume compressions. How many compressions should you do to how many rescue breaths?
30 compressions to 2 rescue breaths.
Good, good, yes. So you're gonna do 30 compressions to 2 rescue breaths. And then let's say the aquatic supervisor now arrives with an AED. So what's the first thing you should do with the AED? Don't overthink it.
Turn it on.
Good, you're gonna turn it on. And you're gonna wipe the chest dry to make sure that there's no necessary safety precautions. So then what do you do with the AED? Some of you just took a CPR class. You know it, you just don't want to say it.
You put the sticky things on them.
Good, you put the sticky things on them, on their chest, and then you're gonna plug in the connector of the pads to the AED. So the AED is then gonna say, analyzing rhythm, everyone stand clear. So what should you not be doing?
Touching them.
Touching them, good. You're gonna clear the area, you're gonna allow the AED to analyze, and then it says shock advised, charging, everyone stand clear. So you're not gonna touch them. And then it tells you to push the shock button. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna push the shock button, right? And then it says continue CPR. So then how many compressions will you do?
30 to 2.
30 to 2, good. So each of these things are worth like 1 point. So if you think it's tedious to say, still say it, just so you can pass your audit on your first time and you don't have to redo it, right? So super important. I did place an email with this on there. And there is a first aid CPR review on the staff page. There are other things like lightheadedness and a sprain strain that I have for you guys that I'm going to send out via email. But these are super important to review. We didn't want to do like a March mock madness or whatever this semester, just because we already know there's a lot of stress going on with having patrons put their masks on and approaching people about that. So we don't want to add any extra pressure. So that's why we're doing the audits instead. But does anyone have any questions about audits? No? Okay, well, they will find you on your shift. If they do not, I'm going to reach out to you to see when you can complete it or if you can come in. So please try not to avoid them during your shift, because if you do, you're just gonna have to come in anyways. So if you just get it done on your shift, it's 10 times easier, right? All right, and then we'll end with kudos. So not everybody all at once, but same thing as last month. Any kudos for each other? Kudos for the team? I'll just say kudos to everybody for, again, rolling with the punches. I know it's been a frustrating semester to say the least, but everybody has done a really good job with communicating and ensuring that everyone is being safe and feeling safe. So good job, guys. I know the members haven't been the nicest and easiest to deal with, but you guys are doing a really good job.
I want to say kudos to Nicole and Delilah, which she's not here, but they actually helped a lot with the card reversal thing. So I really appreciated that.
Nice. Good job, guys.
I know I mentioned this earlier, on the group me, but kudos to Mallory and Courtney for doing a great job with the flow charts. They are super helpful. I've definitely used them a lot already.
Awesome. Good, I'm glad. Anybody else?
Kudos to all of the staff that aren't new for just being really nice and understanding and helpful with all the new members.
Yes, we love it. Anybody else? No. All right, guys. Well, we ended 30 minutes early, so hopefully you guys can get some stuff done today. But thank you for coming on here. I know, again, Zoom is weird, but hopefully things will change soon or this next semester coming up. But if you have any questions about anything that we went over or audits or anything, please shoot me an email. All right, y'all have a good day.
Bye.